Sagoda says, I miss the Saturday streams as I sleep early and wake up early and do biking, getting rid of extra fat. Oh, good for you. I also bike every day other than the last 5 days, which yesterday I started again. And boy, I missed it because it just keeps you feeling better, blood circulation, and you're focusing on the road and you're riding the bike and keeps all other things out of the mind. So in a way, it's a natural meditation while you're doing some kind of a workout or sport, because you have to focus on that one thing that you're doing. And focusing on one thing, that is actually meditation. When you meditate, you're focusing on pretty much nothing or one thing. That limits the activity of the mind and brings the waves and activity of the mind down to as the lowest as you can get it. And the same thing with the athletes when they're really into their practices or games that they're playing, they're focusing on one thing. And that being one thing on mind makes the mind focused, disciplined, and under your control, and you won't go rogue into paying attention to all kind of thing that was introduced to it through the years and through the media and through the life and through everything else, and then conjuring up thoughts, and many of them being intrusive thought, because that is the nature of the brain, makes intrusive thoughts. People who don't understand that, they always think that there's something wrong with them because such thoughts showed up. There's nothing wrong with them. This is what thought does. This is what brain does, makes thoughts. And most of these thoughts are nonsense, because it is not the thought that you are creating it. It is the thought that brain is creating it. And brain is not you. You're not the brain. Hence, thought is not you or representing you, and you're not definitely thought. If you understand that, the freedom of mind and freedom in your life and freedom from thoughts will begin, and you will start living. If you don't understand that, anything that thought, any garbage, anything that is not of your interest and is meaningless and irrelevant to you seems like it should be relevant because it's a thought, and thought is me, and it's my brain, and thought is intelligent, and so thought is smart. That's how we've been brainwashed since childhood, that thought is intelligent. Thought is not intelligent. Thought is garbage. Thought is an apparatus. Like you have a kidney, it does its work. It's supposed to clean up your blood and is involved in circulatory moves and blood qualities and filtering the blood going through it. And you have a liver, that's its job. You have a liver, it's supposed to detoxify you, make sure that the garbage that goes in there, it meets the challenges and cleans it out, so on. Spleen does its own thing. They all are part of your body, but they're not you. They have a mandate, they have a job to do. Brain too is just like any other organ. It's not you, but it's under your command for your use, and it has a certain mandate to do, a certain job to do. Its job is to make thoughts, but not the thoughts that you have commanded, because it's an independent system. It's got nothing to do with you. It does its own thing. The problem is you don't know that. You think, you've been brainwashed since childhood that thought is you. That's why we all go crazy at one time or another. We got negative thoughts, we got OCD thoughts, and we follow it, we entertain it, we data hunt it. Then we have HOCD, we have all kind of pedophile OCD, we have harm OCD, we have responsibility OCD, we have all kinds of weird intrusive thoughts and OCDs and so on, and we think we have to comply to the compulsion of this obsessive need. Yet, lo and behold, when you respond to the obsession with the compulsion, you feel relieved, and that feeling of relief will secrete dopamine. When the dopamine secretes, it gives you a good feeling. And when this continues, that keep getting your dopamine to feel good gives you addiction to dopamine. Now you're not just doing it for the OCD and the compulsion, you're doing it to get the dopamine. When you keep doing this OCD for the compulsion, then for the dopamine, and then you keep doing it because you want to get that dopamine. So you're not focusing on getting rid of the OCD, you're actually doing to get the dopamine, which makes you feel great. And after a while, you get addicted on the dopamine. Then no longer you're doing the compulsion because of the obsession, you're doing it because you're addicted. It's your habit. Once it becomes your habit, you're doomed, because then it's going to take longer to get rid of it. That's why I'm so keen to bring your attentions to the fact that brain is like an organ and it has a mandate and its job is to make thoughts. But it's not making the thoughts that are relevant to you. They're just making thoughts. Any garbage that comes in mind. How? It's raw material, or it's the stuff that is out there floating. People's personal lifestyles, people's personal sexual preferences, people's personal behavior, all other kind of information that's come to be part of the consciousness of us humans through the media, through the books, through the propaganda, through the politicians' behavior, through the world leaders and non-leaders and weird evil people who have some powers. They are trying to get all these people to know and get to know and be aware of every kind of thing that is out there, whether it is to their liking or not. These bombardments of information of all kinds that is irrelevant to most of us gets to become part of the consciousness. And guess where does the brain get its raw material to make thoughts with? From the consciousness. So if you got all kind of stuff that is irrelevant to you, if you are heterosexual, you get lots of kind of information that is irrelevant to you. If you're homosexual, you get lots of information that is irrelevant to you. If you whatever your gender is, whatever your lifestyle is, whatever your beliefs are, you get all kind of information that are irrelevant to you, you're not interested in. However, the brain, not being you, it doesn't even know you, doesn't even care. It's like kidneys, does its job, it's got a mandate, it's made for a purpose, it's an apparatus for you, and you make a mistake thinking that it is you, but it is not you. So brain picks up all these things and does what it's supposed to do, which is making thoughts from whatever information has entered into the consciousness. And it makes all these thoughts at 80, 90,000 a day. And guess what? Most of them are intrusive, because over 94% of the people in the world who are alive are having intrusive thoughts. Every single one of them. The male that you feel inferior to, many of you look at some other male and think, oh, it's more man than I am. Why? Because that's how you've seen it in the movies. Men supposed to look ugly, or men supposed to look mean, or men supposed to have certain kind of impression on their faces, or whatever. And you are a kind, compassionate, upstanding, grown up, well-raised person. You don't have these negative feelings. You don't have these negative connotations or facial expressions. So you think you're not as man as the others who look ugly, or who look spooky or mean or something. Because these are the brainwashes that we have received as a stereotype look of a man in the movies and so on and so forth. Toughness is supposed to be that, but it's got nothing to do with that. It's the way simply you've been duped to think because you're good looking, or because you're compassionate, because you're kind, that means you're not man. Bullshit. Real man is a man who's got a balanced alloy, like a samurai sword that is hard on the outside, but yet it's got an alloy which is softer inside. So it gives it flexibility and the power at the same time, so it won't break. But if it's all just one kind of steel, it's brittle and no good and not strong. So the ones who are kind, pleasant, compassionate, and understand emotions and fairness and balance, they are the men. If you think that other person who looks kind of weird, or you don't know anything about, suddenly you think he's more manly than you, baloney. You're the man that you're supposed to be focusing on, because everyone else out there, they have the same kind of intrusive thoughts in their brains as any other human being on this earth does. Because 94% of the people on this earth have intrusive thoughts. All kinds of thoughts. HOCD, OCD, pedophile OCD, harm OCD, all kinds of them. Just because you don't know them, that doesn't mean that they are just looking like that means they've got it all figured out. No, they're all fucked up in their brains. So you need to understand that you're as manly as anybody else. You should not feel inferior about anybody or anything. And the thoughts that appear in your head does not represent you, because you're not thoughts. Thoughts are not you. You're not the brain, and brain is not you. Brain is an apparatus, is an organ, is a feature, is a mechanism, is a tool for you, like the kidneys, the liver, and everything else. And simply you have to look at it that way. So if it comes up with all kind of bullshit in your brain, don't think it means anything or it has a purpose, because it's constantly there. It doesn't go away. that it means it's part of you or it's representing you. Not at all. We've discussed in other videos that if a thought is popped up and it doesn't go away, it's because the caudate nucleus is malfunctioning. That's a signaling system of the brain, and it's supposed to automatically shut off intrusive thoughts, and it's not working properly because it happens to all of us. That's why all of us have intrusive thoughts. And you need to simply recognize this intrusive thoughts, recognize that it is thought, it's not you, and call it for what it is, and continue your life doing what you're supposed to be doing on your daily life. And in that way, you ignore it. Therefore, you will not be conditioning yourself to pay attention to these things. And thoughts, intrusive thoughts, will learn that you're not paying attention to them, which means even though caudate nucleus is not working to automatically to shut down intrusive thoughts, yet intrusive thought will learn it from your behavior towards it by dissing it and ignoring it, that it is not welcomed and it is not appreciated, it is not interested, you're not interested in it, and it will learn not to show up as much. And then that's how you will rewire your brain, and through neuroplasticity you will get back to getting that signal to shut off these intrusive thoughts, even though caudate nucleus is not doing its job right at the moment. But it gets this signal by your behavior, through your behavior, not messing with it, not data hunting with it, not arguing with the thought, not debating with the thought. That behavior gets that signal that I'm not interested by your behavior to the orbital frontal cortex, and it will learn to shut it down through the behavior, which then neuroplasticity rewires your brain and gets the caudate nucleus start working again. So, having said that, it means you simply have to understand there is a me before your kidney. There is a me before your liver. Liver belongs to you. Kidney belongs to you. There's a me before the brain. There's a me before thought. Brain belongs to you, but you are not the brain. You're not the kidney. You're not the liver. You are you, and these apparatuses do their job. And often they don't do their job right. And when they don't do their job right, you're supposed to know it, not to fall for it. It's supposed to be following your commands, not you following thoughts' commands. So simply you understand that thoughts and you are different system, independent systems, and what it shows up in your head does not represent you. You're not supposed to fall for it. You're supposed to select the thoughts that are created 80, 90,000 a day and see which one is of any use to you or not. And the only thought that are really your thoughts are the thoughts that you go into your consciousness and purposely pick up certain information to calculate something, create something, design something, produce something, learn something, and accomplish something. That's your thought. The rest of it is garbage thought. And you select among them, and the ones who are just useless, you're not interested in, is against your core principles. You diss it and you focus on what you're supposed to do, and that's how you treat and intrusive thoughts, which we are all dealing with it all day long. Free yourself from all that bullshit.